All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you are joining us from. I am going to go ahead and share my screen right now and jump right in. Okay, very first thing I'd like to do, especially for those of you who have not been with us yet, I want to point out that we have a Facebook group that coincides with this meetup. It has the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. It just doesn't have the cities next to it because this is where we come together from multiple cities throughout the country. So I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. You can type that into the Facebook search right here and find us. Another thing you could do is you could go up into here and type in facebook.com/groups/ I want to be really rich. So why do you want to join the Facebook group? Well, a couple of different reasons. Reason number one, whenever we have something special going on, at the very top is where we'll pin that as an announcement. So you'll know what something special is going on with the group. The other reason would be that you would like to be here with us. As you can see right here, oh, there's yesterday's recording. And there's a previous recording and previous recordings and people commenting and asking questions and people responding. So this is a place where we, as long as I remember to hit the record button, which so far I have every day, I will put the recording in here so that you can come through. And, if you have any, well, if you like one that you've attended, you can go back and review it. If you've missed anything, you can go back and review it. This is also, for instance, where I will put files of things that we are possibly working on together, studying together. This happens to be a book that we're in the process of studying right now. So you can come into the Facebook group, click on this, and you'll get the PDF. So you get the book for free. The other thing that you can go ahead and do for what we're studying right now is I'm going to tell you where I originally got it. Well, I actually had it in paperback form. I've also have it on Kindle, but I want to show you where I got it for free. Therefore, if you want to go directly to the source, you can do that. So if you go to hiddentreasurebook.com, that's hiddentreasurebook.com. If you scroll down a little ways, you'll see a button that says click here for free download. And you know the drill, right? Typically, email address and name is pretty much what you'll be asked for. And then you can download it from the source. And when you do, you can follow along with us. We're on page, currently in this particular book, we're on page 56 of 115. Now I say I don't know if that's the page of the book, but that's the page of this particular PDF file. So if you were to go download it, this is what it'll look like, and you can follow along with us. Tell you a little bit about the book before we jump into where we're at. It was actually written and published by a friend of mine. Her name's Leslie Householder. Who is Leslie? Well, she still is. I was going to say, if you go back to when I met her, at the time she was a coach and facilitator for some of Bob Proctor's programs. And I actually attended a Science of Getting Rich seminar that Leslie was training and facilitating at. She was the one putting it on, and Bob Proctor is the one who had taught her how to teach it and gave her the materials to do so. And it was an amazing experience for me. And I even decided afterwards, not right that moment, but I decided that, you know what, getting trained by Bob Proctor myself to be a coach and facilitator for materials like this would be a good idea. So I chose to do that too. Leslie now does things independently, and so do I. But just wanted to give you a little bit of background about us. Bob Proctor is certainly not the only influence in our lives, but I know he's definitely been a strong influence. But after that, and other things that we learned, Leslie decided to write this book because movies like this in the book The Secret, which are very powerful, love the movie, love the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, they don't explain everything. We talk about the law of attraction, but that is just one of the laws, and it's actually a subsidiary law of a law called the law of vibration. But the law of attraction is one of several laws that govern us receiving more money and wealth in our lives. So if you want to increase your income, if you want to live more prosperously, if you want to, have more things, nicer things maybe in your life, you're going to be required, if you're going to do this in a creative way instead of a competitive way, which is way easier, by the way, you're going to be required to obey certain laws. Now, when I talk about laws, if you aren't aware that you're breaking laws, you can hurt yourself. A young child, let's say a toddler, right? One who can't talk necessarily, but can crawl all over. That toddler climbs up onto your kitchen counter. Let's say you got one of those bigger islands and you don't see that happen. And the toddler goes crawling across the counter to the other side and falls and hurts itself. What happened there? Well, there was a law in place. It's called the law of gravity. And by the way, the law of gravity, unfortunately, didn't care if the child understood what the child was doing. It just is. It's a law that you can't break, but you can break yourself against the law. And that's essentially what the child probably did. The child's possibly going to be harmed, going to be hurt, may have to go to the hospital. Hopefully learns the lesson not to crawl off counters anymore and not to crawl on them in the first place. But sometimes we fall off as adults. We fall off and hurt ourselves, but we don't learn the lesson necessary so we don't do it over and over and over again. And we do that to ourselves financially because we're breaking laws that we're not aware of in relationship to money. It doesn't matter that we're good people. It doesn't even matter that we're smart people. If we're unaware of the additional laws to the law of attraction, because the law of attraction isn't the only one you have to obey to make this work, and you're breaking the other laws, then you will be wondering why the law of attraction is not bringing to you what you want. So when I talk about laws, and when Leslie talks about laws, we're not talking about man-made laws like traffic laws, okay? Or like, the law that we have to pay taxes to the government. Why do I say that? Why do I even bring that up? Because how many of us have actually purposely or accidentally, very accidentally, not on purpose, have broken some kind of traffic law? We maybe didn't quite stop on red the way we needed to, right? We ran a stop sign without thinking because we were thinking of something else. We are going a little bit faster than the speed limit tells us we're supposed to. Well, at times in our life, if we drive enough, maybe we received a ticket or citation for that. However, I bet if you're like myself, okay, you've probably accidentally or sometimes purposely have broken those laws, the man-made laws, on purpose or accidentally without receiving a ticket or citation. So when we talk about laws here, a lot of people don't get what we're talking about, and their brain relates to the man-made laws and go, well, they don't work all the time. I've disobeyed it, nothing happened to me. Okay. Okay, terrific, but we're not talking about it that way. We're talking about you're on the top of a building and you walk off the ledge, unless you have a parachute or a cable or something strapped to your body or something down below to catch you, you're going to probably splat when you hit the ground. That's the law of gravity. And it doesn't matter if you were a good person, again, doesn't matter if you're a nice person. All that matters is that the law of gravity is in existence and it did what it was designed to do. Okay. So anyhow, it's important that we understand the laws. That's why I chose this book. I think Leslie explains it in a way that is a little bit easier to understand than some people. And currently we are in the middle of one of the laws. If you want, what I recommend you do is go download the book. I recommend you join the Facebook group, and I recommend that you go back a few days. We started this not long ago. We started this last week, this particular book. So you've got 4 days there, and today's going to be so 5. Today will be day number 6. Obviously, we've got some more days to go. But I would go get caught up on what we're doing if you want to get the most out of what we're doing. Now, if you don't choose to go download it, it's fine. because I'm actually going to share my screen like I'm doing right now so you can see it anyhow. So you could just follow along here if you like to. I'm just wanting you to know where the source of things are so that you can do your own study and work if you choose to. Okay, but we're in the middle of a chapter right now, and hang on one moment here. I'm moving some things around on my screen you probably don't see on yours. Okay, so this is where we stopped yesterday. How is it drawn to you? Like a radio transmitter, we send out vibrations. Those vibrations just fly on by as they pass things that are not in tune with your frequency. Okay, think about that for a moment. Like a radio transmitter, we, transmitting, not the receiver, transmitter at this point, we send out signals, we send out vibrations, and the vibrations just fly on by as they pass things that are not in tune with your frequency. But they resonate with things that are in tune. People, situations, things, anything we need to have our desire fulfilled will be drawn to us when we are in tune with that which we desire. Now go back in your mind to the first part of this law, which states everything vibrates. Remember, things that vibrate rapidly or more fluid or even outright invisible than the same thing vibrating more slowly. Your thoughts are flighty, are they not? Or am I the only one that struggles to focus on any one thought? Well, here's something to think about. Thoughts are things that are at a very high rate of vibration. Essentially, they're invisible. We would like to see them become real. That's kind of a funny way to put it. It is like saying ice is real, but vapor isn't, which is ridiculous, actually. Your thoughts are just as real as vapor is. As you hold them in your mind and allow yourself to feel how it will be when they are with you, you're putting yourself in a vibration that is in harmony with the physical counterpart of that idea. If it already exists in physical form somewhere, then the vibrations you send out are putting into motion the events necessary to bring it to you. If it does not already exist, then your thought is directly responsible for co-creation of the thing. You'll be drawn to the people or things you need to cause its creation. This is a law you can depend on. Really, you can count on it. There's no need to fear or worry or doubt. These are negative vibrations that repel the very thing you want and need. Why sabotage the creative process? A word about what we deserve. Should we want better things? Do we deserve a better life? We're all children of a God. He would have us enjoy all the blessings we're capable of appreciating, but we need to allow ourselves to feel comfortable with more. Let me repeat that. We need to allow ourselves to feel comfortable with more. To think that the nicer Suburban was too good for me was a borderline insult to God, as if his child wasn't worth having a respectable vehicle. I know if any of my children were to turn away a gift with the comment, "I'm not good enough for something so nice," I would feel sadness, wouldn't you? You may wish for a nicer home in a safer neighborhood, but if you keep thinking you don't deserve one, you'll never receive it. Even if you did, you wouldn't feel at home there. It just wouldn't feel right. God does not give you prosperity if you're repelling it. It would violate law for him to do so. Doubt not, fear not. Oh, how he wants to bless you. All you have to do is believe, and he will do it. Doubt not, fear not. It's not good for you. You'll wish you hadn't. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that these things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Is my idea okay? Do you worry that you shouldn't desire something is not God's will for you, that is a worthy concern. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? You're always invited to determine if something is in harmony with God's will for you. This can only increase your faith that you will receive it. So by all means, pray about it. How can you recognize an answer? Determine in your own mind what you think is right, and then go to him and tell him what you've concluded. Ask if your conclusion is accurate, and pay attention to your very first feelings. If it is right, you'll feel peace and love. If it is wrong, you'll feel confusion. Be attentive to the first feelings. Notice them, because it's easy to second guess and confuse the thoughts beyond that initial moment. Trust these feelings. Accept them as literal communication with your Father in heaven.
Oh,
Hang on a moment. Somebody off mute. Gotta go ahead and mute you guys. All right. So let me go back just a little bit here. If it is right, you'll feel peace and love. If it is wrong, you'll feel confusion. Be attentive to the first feelings. Notice them, because they're easy to second guess and confuse the thoughts beyond that initial moment. Trust these feelings. Accept them as literal communication with your Father in heaven. On what comfort there is genuine humble prayer. Or, oh, what comfort there is genuine humble prayer. Behold, ye have not understood. You have supposed that I would give it unto you when you took no thought save it was to ask me. But behold, I say unto you that you must study it out in your mind. Then you must ask me if it be right. And if it is right, I will cause that your bosoms shall burn within you. Therefore ye shall feel that it is right. But if it is not right, you shall have no such feelings, but you shall have a stupor of thought that shall cause you to forget the thing which is wrong. Remember the difference between saying, please do such, and saying, will you please do such and such? When you phrase it that way, then wait for an answer, you can allow yourself to feel the emotions at that point in your prayer, seeing it done and feeling gratitude. If you can generate those feelings at the moment, accept it as the confirmation you seek. If you feel confusion and cannot even remember what you came to ask for, then accept it as his message encouraging you to perhaps try asking differently, or even have the courage to ask if the thing is not his will for you. By approaching this as sort of a 20 questions game, you can, through the Spirit, partner with the Lord to create a beautiful future. I believe it's safe to say our Heavenly Father has a much grander vision for who we are to become even than our own loftiest imaginings. In fact, as you make attempts to find answers through prayer, remember this. We have a radio set called prayer. Successful communication with God does not depend on him. It depends on us. He stands at the door and knocks, but he does not force himself in. We must put ourselves in tune with him. How? We change our vibration through deep and profound gratitude. Remember the law of relativity, which helps us to accomplish this. Always express sincere gratitude in prayer before presenting requests. It will help us be in tune and more completely prepared for an answer. Let me repeat that. Always express sincere gratitude in prayer before presenting requests. It will help us be in tune and more completely prepared for an answer. At one time, a leader named Moroni offered this insightful guidance about how to discern truth. Behold, I would exhort you that when you shall read these things, if it be wisdom in God that ye should read them, that you would remember how merciful the Lord hath been unto the children of men from the creation of Adam, even down until the time that ye shall receive these things and ponder it in your hearts. He says we must think about the Lord's mercy before presenting our request. He continues, and when ye shall receive these things, I would exhort you that you would ask God, the eternal Father, in the name of Christ, if these things are not true. And if ye shall ask with a sincere heart, with real intent, having faith in Christ, he'll manifest the truth of it unto you by the power of the Holy Ghost. And by the power of the Holy Ghost, you may know the truth of all things. This formula works for any wisdom that we seek from God. Express gratitude, ask with a sincere heart, following the pattern described, and receive the answer. Why does it work? Here's why. If you think of the Lord's mercy since the beginning of time and ponder it, you will generate a feeling of gratitude, which puts you in harmony with God and prepares you to feel an answer when you ask for one. Take a moment to try to be better in tune with Him as you express gratitude here for as many things as you can think of, or ideally, in your personal journal. Remember, a genuine feeling of gratitude will begin the movement of greater blessings toward you by law. So here's an opportunity. I know some of you guys don't have paper and pen in front of you, but I recommend that you go ahead and write an expression of gratitude at some point today and see how that affects your thoughts and your feelings. Okay. Knowing what you know now about the law of vibration, isn't it easier to comprehend the miracles related in the scriptures? Does it mean that with this knowledge we can cause miracles in our own life? With the Lord's help, yes. On our own, heavens no. Acknowledging our dependence on Him is an attitude of humility we must maintain throughout our life, no matter how prosperous we become. Too many people stumble onto these principles and thus prosper, and then conclude that they did it on their own, only to set themselves up for a potentially terrible fall. Stay humble and grateful, always remembering He who delivered you from bondage. Put yourself in the right vibration to draw near to God and prepare yourself for the circumstances you desire. Just as an acorn planted in the earth does not have to fight and claw the dirt to find what it needs in order to become a great oak, neither do we need to stress or worry about our needs. If we plant a good idea in fertile mind, casting away doubt seeds and weeds, the idea cannot help but grow and become what its blueprint contains. All that an acorn needs is drawn to it by natural law. Your life will always move in the direction of your dominant thoughts. So plant the idea seed in your mind. Do not pull it out with your doubt. And with gratitude and emotion, you can put yourself in a harmonious vibration with the physical counterpart of the new idea. And life will orchestrate all the elements you need in order to see the idea come true. Not until the image is firmly planted in your mind does the way present itself. Let me repeat that. And that's where people really get stuck, is you're trying to figure out the how before it's actually been planted, firmly planted in your mind. You think of it, you say, I want it, and then you focus on how to do it, and your subconscious mind is not helping you at that point. And you're not receiving inspiration, revelation, and intuition about it. So you get frustrated because you can't figure out how. It looks way too hard, never done it before, impossibility, don't know anybody else who's done it either. Not until the image is firmly planted in our mind does the way present itself. So you need to understand that. We were talking about that quite a bit yesterday, especially in our question and answer time. Too many people wait to see a way. Here you go. Too many people wait to see a way before striving for significant change in their life. That's backwards. Just as the leaf elements and the bark molecules will not begin to come together until the seed is planted and held in the ground for a sufficient amount of time. It is so clear in nature the order of events that must take place to grow a tree. But in our lives, we expect so much without patience and proper nourishment for our idea seeds. So here's the acorn, right? And the acorn draws to it the elements. It doesn't have to do anything more than that. When my good friend Marnie decided to start dreaming a little bigger with her new understanding of the laws, she envisioned her acres of property with a fence and horses. The fence alone was going to cost a fortune, but she chose to disregard the facts at hand and spend her energy building the dream. Good advice for everybody, okay? but she chose to disregard the facts at hand and spend her energy building the dream. Then one day she received a phone call. See, it happens after, guys. You're trying to figure it out way too early in the process. Maybe you're trying to do it today and it's just going to be tomorrow. Maybe you want it this minute, it's going to be 3 hours from now. Maybe you want it right now and it's going to be a month or 2 or 3. It depends on what it is. Everything has a gestation period, which we'll talk about that law later. Okay. But understand that the process is decide what you want. And then, like she did, chose to disregard the facts at hand and spend her energy on building the dream. Then one day she received a phone call and was asked if she would be willing to board some horses on her property if the horse owners were willing to put up the fence themselves. What did Marnie do to realize her dream? She visualized it and felt grateful for it before it was a physical reality. She rejected all doubt, fear, impatience, and frustration. She believed, not having any clue about how the dream would come true in her. She believed, I'm sorry, the way I'm saying this, she believed, not having any clue about how the dream would come true in her life. In a book titled Drawing on the Powers of Heaven, Grant Von Harrison explains, the thought process itself is the key to exercising faith. Your life is influenced more by your own thoughts than anything else. He continues, faith can be gauged to a great extent by the amount of time spent thinking about your righteous desire. Our thoughts have a greater effect on our circumstances than most people realize. We are not at the mercy of exterior events. We are the masters of our future. Like the rudder on a large ship, our lives are steered by our thoughts. The more we control our thoughts, the more our circumstances will actually reflect the worthy desires of our hearts. Consider this idea put another way. How could a person possibly become what he is not thinking? Nor is any thought, when persistently entertained, too small to have its effect. The divinity that shapes our ends is indeed ourselves. Consider how the lilies grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon on all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothed the grass, which is today in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind, but rather seek for the kingdom of God. And all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. The Sea of Galilee principle. Let's see, where are we in time? And how long is it going to take to share this part? Okay. Good. Okay, we're going to do this for a few more minutes, and then we'll open up for our questions and answers and comments and whatnot. The Sea of Galilee principle. So what is the principle behind making room for the new? Think of this. Have you ever really looked at a map of Israel? The Jordan River is fed from the north. It flows through the Sea of Galilee and continues southward, ends in the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is lower than sea level and keeps all of the water that flows to it, only releasing water through evaporation. Think of these two different bodies of water as two different kinds of people that we can be. Sea of Galilee, excellent climate, fertile, produces large crops, abundant fisheries, great source of wealth, large export trade, only approximately 85 square miles, so it's relatively small, 680 feet below sea level, place where Christ performed miracles. Sea of Galilee personified. Cheerful disposition, excellent climate, productive, prosperous, makes significant contribution, humble, relatively small, a life where Christ can perform miracles. The Dead Sea, hot climate, infertile, approximately 500 miles square, relatively large and impressive, No outlets except for evaporation. Minerals accumulate and cause extreme bitterness in the water. 1,290 feet below sea level. Place of God's judgment on Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Zorah or Bela. Dead Sea personified, not so pleasant disposition, hot climate, fails to nourish and grow good seeds, may seem great and significant, but actually operates on a lower plane in many ways than a humble person, approximately 600 feet deeper below sea level than Galilee. It hoards what it receives, no outlets, and ends up losing anyway. Anything that does remain lends to unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Mineral deposits rendering the land sterile, a life in danger of God's judgment. It's the same water and same source of blessings, but handles the blessing differently. For Christians, this metaphor is especially meaningful because Christ is so often referred to as living water. Are we letting blessings flow through us, bringing us even greater abundance? Or are we stingy and selfish, bringing us desolation? Give and make room for more. You'll be reminded of this principle when we discuss the bonus vacuum law of prosperity at the end of the book. The next chapter will teach about the law of polarity, which is what you will need to know when unforeseen things happen that thwart your plan for prosperity, which they will. All right. So I'm going to come out of screen share here. Good to see those of you who've joined us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And this is a time now for those of you who are new, let me explain. This is an opportunity to come off of mute and share your comments. If you have a comment that you'd like to share, if you have an experience with utilizing the law of attraction to manifest money and wealth, you can go ahead and share that. If there's something that we've read that resonates with you, you can share that. Or if you have any kind of questions related to what we're studying or related to manifesting money and wealth in your life, you can ask those questions. So all you need to do is just come off of mute and start talking, and whoever talks first will go first. And we've got about 11, 12 minutes or so in our regular time to do that. So anybody, whoever would like to, now is the time to share comments or questions. Or to just be shy.
Hi, Kevin. I guess I'll start.
Okay. Hi, Mercedes.
No, I'm Takira.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Mercedes was down there a second ago. Okay.
I'm glad you said Mercedes because that's actually my dream truck.
Okay. Well, there we go.
So it was perfect that you said that.
It was sitting there right before your voice spoke while she was on the screen.
That's a good thing.
Awesome.
So yeah, I don't know, I'm really happy today. I was feeling really good. I went into a jewelry store today.
Awesome.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell Kevin because I felt so happy. Like the vibration when I left, I was like, oh my God. But I was confused. Like when I'm looking at this jewelry, I did get a piece of jewelry because it was on layaway. So I just picked it up, my payment.
Okay.
But I saw like $10,000 items. What do you say when you're in these places? Because I was just like, oh, this is mine. Money's coming to me. This watch belongs to me. Like, is there a certain affirmation that you should recite to keep like the momentum going when you're in there instead of thinking like, how can I buy that? Well, how many, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get yourself to be like, oh, I could just buy this right now with no concerns? How do you get to that level when you're in the store with these high-end quality items?
You do it before you walk in.
Okay. Do it before you walk in. So just go in.
You go create the experience before you even walk in there. A lot of times we're afraid to go try something on or drive something or walk through it or whatever. So what I recommend is that you spend some time ahead of time. Hey, what experience do you want to create, and actually create it? Hey, the clerk is really cool, and you know what, they're nice and they don't mind putting jewelry all over me, and they don't look at me foolishly. I don't talk too much about it. I just smile and ask questions, and they're helpful and say, you know, that this is awesome. This is motivating for me because, you know, I've got a business or whatever. And, you know,
Right.
hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to come in here and purchase it. Just, you know, don't try and, but then again, that's where you take your morning and your afternoon, your 10, 15 minutes or so as you're waking up and before you go to sleep, and go
Mhm.
wear it again, go try it on again, re-experience. Since you had a good experience today,
Mhm.
why not re-experience that thing as many times as you can? But don't
Okay.
re-experience it the re-experience going in the store looking at something you're going to have in the future. Okay.
Okay.
Experience that people are going to treat you that way, and experience yourself walking out of the store with that piece of jewelry, or better yet, picture yourself at wherever it is you're going to wear that piece of jewelry, right? You're
Mhm.
invited to some particular event, and you know you're going out with whoever it is you want to be going out with, and people
Mhm.
are commenting how good it looks on you. That's what you want to go live. You want to live the future of what you'd be doing with it as if it's already here right now.
Okay. Do I focus on my response to
No,
what
I
people
mean, just
may
in your
say?
imagine, in your,
No. So,
when I say create it, you don't need 5 days before you walk in the store. Go create that an hour
right.
before you walk in the store, right? Or a half hour, whatever. Just kind of picture that ahead of time enough to where you set it up for a good vibration.
Okay.
As far as the receiving of the jewelry or whatever it is that you want, that's your work outside of the store.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad you had a great experience. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. All right. Any additional questions or comments? You guys
I
afraid?
have a question.
Hi. Hi.
Um, I don't remember your whole story, but what I've read briefly, you had worked with Ken Kiyosaki,
Robert Kiyosaki. Yes.
Robert. I'm sorry, Robert, and Bob Proctor, and I guess
Mhm.
you said Leslie, the excerpts of which we just read.
Leslie
Were you?
Householder, Sharon Lecter. Yeah, several people, but go ahead.
Did you already know prior to, I guess, studying with them? Were you already aware of all of these, I guess,
Gotcha.
tenets?
Good question. Awesome question. So it's, for me, it started out Rich Dad Poor Dad, receiving that book a long time ago. I mean, that book came out in 97, and I probably had it within the first few months that it had come out.
But did it just resonate, or did you already know of all that
No,
stuff?
that resonated. It was a resonated thing. And, you know, I followed along and did some things. I got the opportunity. Let's see, this was 2005. Get my years correct. Okay. Um, in the area where I was living at the time, I didn't realize till later, but I found out that I actually lived in the same city Robert Kiyosaki did, or at least really close, and found out where his office was and everything else. So I knew it was there. I knew he was around, but I had taken his material, a little bit like what I'm doing here, and created an entrepreneur group and club around that material plus some other things. Now, I wasn't really successful as an entrepreneur and business owner at that point yet, but I liked the idea of hopefully attracting, and again, I didn't use those words at the time, but you know, that maybe it would bring around other people that were more successful, because I figured if I got around successful entrepreneurs and investors and business owners, you know, maybe some of that magic would rub off. Um, so I started this entrepreneur group in the Phoenix area, and it grew. Um, and it kept growing and growing, and it grew large enough that I got a phone call from Robert Kiyosaki's office in November of 2005. And I was asked if I would be willing to attend a partners meeting. And I didn't even fully know what that meant, I thought it might have been a seminar, but it was like, hey, you've got this group and everything, and Robert wants to invite you to come to the partners meeting. And I thought, hey, he's heard of us. That's awesome. And I thought maybe I was getting like a special invite to maybe a more intimate type seminar or workshop or something. But that's not what it was. It was a partners meeting. uh, what it was is once a year, Robert would get people that were on his team from throughout the world. He had people there from Singapore, from Australia, from the UK, from Mexico, from the US. Anyhow, he essentially had his advisors and team there. And I got invited to that, and there were less than 20 people in the room. And everybody there was like a multi-gazillionaire except me at the time. But the reason they wanted me there is I had this gift for understanding community. And I had put that community together in the Phoenix area. And I found out that there were 1,600 what they called cash flow clubs throughout the world. But I had created the largest one and the most prosperous one and the one that was succeeding the most. Robert wanted to know how I did that, and he wanted me to be a part of that, sharing it with his partners that could go back to whatever parts of the world they came from and hopefully take some of what they learned. As a result of that, I was asked to be an advisor to him and his team, not one to go write books and stuff, but to help them understand what I did and what I was doing. And so I did that for a period of time from December of 05 until May of 06. Going to Bob Proctor, it actually happened that I met Leslie. So my big focus was on, I wanted to know how to do things, but I didn't fully understand. Well, I didn't at all understand, say fully. I never heard words like law of attraction, vibration, all that stuff. But a little bit before the time that I received that call from Robert Kiyosaki's office and then got to work with Robert and Sharon and their team, I was starting to feel like, you know what, I've been taught how to do a lot of things, but I'm not getting the results I want. Why not? I feel like I'm physically doing what they're doing, but I'm not seeing the same kind of return on my actions, so to speak. And I felt, fearful and doubt and worry and all this stuff related to money. And I'm just like, yeah. Well, when the teacher's ready, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. At that point, God and the universe started pointing me down the direction more towards personal development and law of attraction. So I came across it, ran across something that was done by Leslie, didn't know who she was, but as I did a little bit of research on her, I was able to put 2 and 2 together and figured out that she lived I didn't know where she lived at the time, like how far. I knew she wasn't very far. And I reached out to her and we had a chance to meet each other, and I got to help her do something and she got to help me do something. So we became friends, and she had a Science of Getting Rich seminar that was coming up. So a lot of stuff really happened that very end of 05. Everything was kind of coming together. I went to that seminar in February of 06 that Leslie taught, and my income over basically from April of 06 till the end of the year jumped from $5,000 to $6,000 a month to where it averaged $50,000 a month. I was changing because I was reprogramming my subconscious mind. And so all the things that I was learning from Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter and the business world and whatnot, they were starting to work better because my subconscious mind was no longer battling me on receiving what it was I wanted for my life. And that's where I got introduced to Bob Proctor, because I knew that was Leslie, one of Leslie's mentors. When I took that Science of Getting Rich seminar, she gave everybody there a self-study course, which was essentially Bob teaching the same material so that I could repeat it over and over. And what I did for about 2.5 to 3 months after I went to that first seminar that Leslie taught is I dove into that material and spent somewhere between 1 to 3 hours a day, either reading through it or listening to it or writing, what it told me to. And so that was reprogramming myself too. And then years later, they reached out to me. Bob Proctor's organization said, hey, you've had success doing some different things. What do you feel about becoming, a facilitator and coach for us? And so I went ahead and went through that process. None of this was free, by the way, that I was doing. Um, and coming out of that process, it was a phenomenal experience. And I also recognized too that, you know what, being independent for me is working out because we all have our own styles and we all attract different types of people in our life. And I just happen to have certain gifts and abilities that are different than others, just like they do than I do. So I'm independent, but I have a lot of people that have been a strong influence on my life. My favorite thing, or the thing that it appears that I'm very good at, I guess that's for you guys to decide, is helping someone reprogram themselves in relationship to receiving more money and wealth in their life. And once I've done that with a person, they're now free to go do whatever it is, of course, they want to do in whatever type of, business or profession they want. But now they do way better financially. Another thing that happens though is I get to know them so well that if there's other things in their life that they want to change, we're able to work together and have that happen quickly. I have one person that I personally coached one-on-one for about 6 months. Financial life took off. And then he said, I want to work on relationship stuff, and talked to me about his life. He wasn't married, didn't have a girlfriend or anything like that at the time, and felt like it was time to do something about it. And not that we were setting a specific date or goal for everything to happen, but over the next 6 months, before the 6 months ended, he met someone and they got married. So that's, but the principles of attracting what you want in life are the same pretty much, whether it be for money or anything else that you want. I just know that I'm able to help people that are already financially successful still get to another level, or people that have been struggling for years to get past it, but they've got to be ready to receive the information, and willing to listen and be committed to the process of working together with someone that they're going to share what's really happening and be honest about it. Because when people do that, I'm able to help them accomplish things pretty quickly. So hopefully that in a nutshell kind of gives you whatever you were asking and maybe a little bit of my story.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're past the 45 minutes. If I'll stick around for a few more minutes. If you got to go, you got to go. I understand. We don't hold anybody hostage here. For those of you who are here for the first time, usually we have the material done within the first, 35, 40, 45 minutes. And then sometimes people want to stick around a bit longer, asking questions or sharing comments. So that's what we're doing now. If anybody has anything, I'll stick around. Or if nobody has anything, then I'll let it go. But if you need to go, don't feel like you got to stay on. You can always go back to the recording too. Any other questions or comments from anybody?
Hello, this is Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
I came in right at the end. I'm at work and I tried to get on it really quick. And I just I caught it to where you were saying a little bit about your background.
Oh, okay.
But what I wanted to know, are you here in Jacksonville?
No, I am in San Diego area.
You're in San Diego. Okay.
Yeah, what I
All
did,
right.
and that's a good
Mhm.
question. Of course, the way that with COVID, we're not going to get to shake hands anyway right now.
Right.
But what I did is I opened up multiple meetups with the same name in some of the cities where I wanted to attract people to be a part of this. And
Okay.
so that's how you ended up finding it. But
Okay.
it's collectively a group of people that are from throughout the U.S.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, this is interesting. I've been trying to work on the law of attraction for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I really haven't got it down pat yet. So I just tried to look around to see if I had local groups or somebody that, or a group that have the same interests.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am.
Yep. Yep. Well, thanks to technology, right? I mean, we're probably all kind of tired of Zoom and stuff like that at this point. What I enjoy about it though is it really did open up, the fact that, hey, especially this type of material, it's something that can be shared and helpful. I coach people a lot of times that don't live anywhere near where I do. And it goes just as well. It's a matter of understanding who they are and the energy that's going on between us that makes the difference in what we're doing. So yeah, keep coming. We're here Monday through Friday at the same time. And
Oh,
then
okay, good.
the other
Okay.
thing I'll share with you real quick here that I shared with others earlier, but maybe somebody got on a little bit later, is we have a Facebook group that has the same name as the meetup. It's called I Want to Be Really Rich, and I do not apologize for it. So, right. So basically you can start typing that into the search and you'll find us and we'll let you join the group. Within the group, what we do is special announcements and materials, but also we have the recordings of each day as long as I remember to hit the record button. So you can go back and review what we've been doing up until now. And we've been
Okay.
going since about the middle-ish, I'm gonna say ish because I don't remember the exact date. We started up sometime in around mid-November.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you. And I hope every single person here has an amazing, wonderful, awesome day.
All right. Thank you so much.
You guys are so very welcome. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Kevin.
Welcome.